You know, ever since I came home to Minnesota, I've been hearing how the Twins are hurting without Carew. Well, don't count on it. Guys like Erickson, Goltz, and Marshall have given us some of the best pitching we've had in years. And new guys like Landreau and Jackson have already helped us. And Roy Smalley's become a star. Sure, a lot of people have written us off.
Well, that's okay.
Right, because now we've got something to prove.
Tell them like it is, Coos.
Right.
The Minnesota Twins. This year, we've got something to prove.
Minnesota Twins manager Gene Mock lets off steam this summer. It's understandable, especially after losing hitters like Rod Carew, Lyman Bostock, and Larry Heisel. Now former Angel Ron Jackson must lead an offense that will not intimidate many pitchers. But Minnesota may surprise because in place of the heavy hitters, it now has strong pitchers. Dave Goltz won 15 games last year and beat the A's on opening day this year as Twins pitching swept Oakland 3 straight. And the Twins didn't lose free agent relief ace Mike Marshall, who saved Goltz's victory with crazy screwballs like this. Minnesota's Marshall plan may be the key to rebuilding. And how about Mike Marshall, professor of kinesiology and resident genius of the Minnesota bullpen? In 5 of the Twins' first 7 victories, Marshall recorded 2 wins and 3 saves. Often when a player reaches a certain age, he's considered a bygone after one bad year. Jerry Koosman won just 3 games with the Mets all last year. Now with the Twins, Coos won 3 games without a loss in under 3 weeks. The Minnesota Twins of manager Gene Mock have had fun since the year's begun. They came to Tiger Stadium where the scorecard had yet to see Mark Fidrich and Rusty Staub. While Detroit awaited their return, Minnesota took 2 of 3. Jerry Koosman's caught the league by surprise with 5 wins. But everyone has had to look out for the Twins, who won 14 of 21 and moved into first place in the American League West. Gene Mock may miss Rod Carew, but his no-names can play. Rob Wilfong at second base. At shortstop, Roy Smalley. Smalley happens to be Mock's nephew, but he earns his keep. With a 4-for-5 day against the Tigers, he pushed his average to 400 to go along with 4 homers, 13 RBIs. Glenn Adams also triggers the Twins' attack, a .328 batting average in April. Also stroking, catcher Butch Weiniger with a .314 average and 15 RBIs. After the loss of Carew, few expected Minnesota to score so many runs. Mighty comforting to pitchers like Jeff Zahn, who against the Tigers upped his record to 3-0. Of course, Gene Mock plays a winning hand with his twin twirler in the bullpen, Mike Marshall, Ph.D., Doctor of Saves. Marshall's allegiance to Mock caused him to re-sign with the Twins, one free agent that Minnesota didn't lose. And Minnesota rarely loses behind Iron Mike, 8 saves and 2 wins in 1 month. In the American League West, the bubble has yet to burst in Minnesota, where the surprising Twins have not only held together under longtime manager Gene Mock, but actually strengthened their hold on first place with impressive team play. With Rod Carew gone, the Twins were given up for dead, but Ken Landreau, the Twins' main man in the Carew deal, has come to life, hitting .339 in Minnesota's first 28 games. Fact is, all the Twins are feeling spry. Catcher Butch Weininger tried his hand at leading off and immediately went 5 for 6 in 2 games with 2 homers. Catchers aren't supposed to lead off, but the Twins delight their fans with the unexpected. Shortstop Roy Smalley has surprised with a .400 average and 8 homers. One thing they can expect in Minnesota is if the Twins have a lead, super reliever Mike Marshall will save it. With an ERA well under 1, Marshall won 5, saved 9, figuring in 14 of the Twins' first 18 wins. Numbers like that are truly amazing, but so is the sudden rise of the Minnesota Twins. In the American League West, the Minnesota Twins issued no advance signals that they'd be off to the best start in the league. Now, players like Glenn Adams have put everyone on the alert. The Minnesota Mashers hit home runs in 16 consecutive games, a club record, and without a Harmon Killebrew. The Twins also have the league's best team batting average, led by Roy Smalley and this man, Rob Wilfong, who batted .372 in Minnesota's first 30 games. Veteran Jerry Koosman has already won twice as many games as last year. Even helps out on defense. Koosman won his first 6 decisions, with more than a little help from reliever Mike Marshall, who finished 5 of them. For the Boston Braves, it used to be spun and sane and pray for rain. Now, it's Marshall and Coos, and the Twins don't lose. Perhaps the Twins will soon come down to earth with a much tougher schedule, but so far, Cinderella has yet to lose her slipper in Minneapolis. Meanwhile, in Kansas City, 2 Western Division contenders not overflowing with free agents met head-on. The perennial champion Royals, the upstart Minnesota Twins, trying to hold on to first. The Twins have changed since last year. No more Rod Carew, but plenty of new faces.
We've been very fortunate in acquiring some strong personalities like Kenny Landreau and Ron Jackson and Paul Hartzell and Jerry Koosman, and it has developed into a rather pleasant team personality as far as I'm concerned.
Ron Jackson not only adds personality, he adds power. 7 homers, 20 runs batted in. Minnesota's success may be traced to new names like Jackson or the astounding rise of shortstop Roy Smalley, who led the majors in batting average, hits, and slugging. But Smalley gives another reason.
I think we're just playing good, solid baseball. We improved our pitching staff a great deal. We've got fine starting pitching, and Mike Marshall coming out of the bullpen in short relief from the start of the season this year instead of midway through the season like he started with us last year, has really kept us in ball games.
Mike Marshall not only had 7 wins and 11 saves, he's got a PhD, and he should know if the Twins can keep it up. How about that, Professor?
It's too early in the year to worry about keeping it up. We've played 30-some games, and we have 130 to go. And before you start worrying about win-loss records, let's get about 150 under our belt.
Of course, George Brett and the Royals already have 3 division titles under their belts and are aiming for 4. This Brett belt kept the hometown crowd up for a while and helped KC salvage the 3rd game of the rain-shortened series. The Royal winning pitcher was Paul Splittorff, who went all the way for victory number 6, as the favored Royals, Angels, and Rangers all edged a little bit closer to those vexing Twins in the American League West. But blue skies and cheery sunshine are no guarantee against hijinks. Witness the misfortunes of Minnesota center fielder Willie Norwood. Ouch! A painful error worth 3 bases. Ought to be enough punishment for 1 man and 1 inning. But no, the next batter hits another ball into Norwood territory. And this time, Willie gets an assist. Man alive! Once again, it's good for 3 bases. And wouldn't you know it, the manager goes out to talk to the pitcher? Don't look at me. Now, let's take a look at American League action, where in the Eastern Division, the Boston Red Sox were on the upswing, while in the West, the Minnesota Twins were on the downswing. Thus far, Minnesota simply hasn't fared well against clubs with winning records. The Red Sox are one of those clubs, thanks to Fred Lynn, who's steadily been driving in runs all season. Boston has stayed close in the East, despite the injury of Carlton Fisk, who's now back as a designated hitter. Fisk still can't catch, but man, can he hit. Other Red Sox are also on the road to recovery, such as Butch Hobson, who blasted 2 homers in Minnesota, where the Sox took 2 out of 3 from the Twins. Gene Mauch felt the brunt of the Boston rehabilitation program. Pitcher Steve Renko, rescued from obscurity this season, picked up victory number 4. Even more heartening to Red Sox manager Don Zimmer was the return to form of ace reliever Bill Campbell, whose confidence was building.
I can pitch now. I can throw back-to-back, I think 2 or 3 days in a row with no problem. We just haven't had the opportunities here lately to get much throwing in.
Campbell got his opportunities in Minnesota and picked up saves 4 and 5. Contenders such as Milwaukee, California, New York, and Baltimore are still suffering from key injuries. But Boston is mending now and may be ready to roll. Finally, this week's Gillette Special goes to Minnesota's Roy Smalley. In 5 games, Smalley hit .522 with 3 homers, 11 RBIs. His lifetime average is .251. So why this season .369?
I've been really fortunate. The ball's been falling in. I have been swinging the bat fairly well, but you have to have an awful lot of luck and an awful lot of seeing eye hits to be hitting for high average, and that's what's been happening so far.
Smalley not only leads the majors in batting average, but also has 14 homers and 60 RBIs. Attaboy, Roy. Minnesota's Roy Smalley will make his first All-Star appearance, leading the majors in hitting around .360 with 15 homers and some 70 RBIs. Besides his awesome offensive stats, Smalley is one of the best at fielding his position. In the West, the Minnesota Twins gained ground on California, reflecting visions of a near miracle should they pull out the title in the second half of the season. A recent 5-game winning streak put the Twins back up near the top. Leading the Minnesota Leaf in the standings, shortstop Roy Smalley. Outstanding defensively and offensively and having an MVP kind of year. After a brief pre-All-Star slump, Smalley is hot again at the plate, fighting to win a batting title. If successful, Minnesota will have claimed 8 of 9 and 11 of the last 16 batting crowns. Smalley adds 18 homers and some 70 RBIs to his average of 345. In Minnesota, pennant fever is catching on as the Twins close to 2 games of first. Danny Goodwin, recently recalled from the minors, helped with 5 hits and 5 RBIs in his first 11 at-bats. Anybody's bat can get the crowd up on this club. A major league leading .295 team batting average. Glenn Adams has really been pounding in recent weeks, raising his average to .333, third best in the American League. The Twins are tough because once the hitters provide the lead, Mike Marshall is there to preserve it. 10 wins, 19 saves. Well over half of the Twins' wins. Don't give up on Minnesota. This club may just now be realizing how good it can be. In the American League West, the California Angels march steadily toward their first divisional crown, despite pitching problems and a long list of injuries. The Minnesota Twins are one of several teams to challenge the Angels. The challenge looked real in the first game of the 3-game series, as the top hitting club in the majors put the heat on California, offensively and defensively. Jeff Zahn shut down the Angels' run-producing machine for his 9th win in 11 decisions. Suddenly, the Twins were only 2 games back. But all year, California fans have watched their team bounce back in tight situations. The Angels took the next 2 games as Rod Carew went 6 for 9 against his former teammates. Carew was back in the swing of things after his long layoff, raising his average to .351. And it's remarkable how well Carew's teammates held up during his absence.
Well, this Angel ball club is good enough to win. We've got some top quality players here. We've got some guys that throughout all the injuries that we've had, they've really buckled down and been doing a tremendous job. And they didn't roll over and fall down and play dead. And that's to show that, you know, the type of caliber club that we have, the type of players that we have.
Dan Ford, another former Twin and currently a Twin killer, is one of those quality players. A .292 average, 55 RBIs. Joe Rudy may be the most dangerous .219 hitter in baseball. Despite the average, he added 3 more RBIs in 1 game to give him 55. Bobby Grich, over 300 with 19 homers and 66 RBIs, adds more vital statistics to California's awesome run production numbers. Numbers that have run away from all other clubs. And it seems that whenever these Angels are threatened, they suddenly run ahead of the opposition. The Angels won the last 2 games of the Minnesota series to push the Twins 4 games out. Can the Angels hold on all the way? Well, only time will tell, but they certainly think so in Anaheim. Twins, who showed no signs of being in the race before the season, still may challenge, mostly because they flattened their weak sisters. Against teams playing .500 or better, the Twins were 25 and 47. But against clubs below .500, they've been invincible, 37 and 8. What a way to stay in a pennant race. course, with 10 wins and 24 saves, ace reliever Mike Marshall has done his part to keep the Twins up there, but so have a long list of young hitters that allowed Gene Mauch in one game to use 7 consecutive pinch hitters. Ken Landreau, who hit .429 during the week, is one of 5 Minnesota youngsters hitting above .310. Second baseman Rob Wilfong is another anonymous face in the eye of the public who surprised everyone with a .300 bat. Of course, the public is better acquainted now with all-star Roy Smalley, who, despite a recent slump, still ranks in the top 10 in 8 batting categories. As for the Twins, they'd rank number 1 if they could just overcome that over 500 jinx. Also, still gunning for the top, the Minnesota Twins, who are finally beginning to get some attention when they claim their chances are as good as anyone's of winning in the West.
Well, we're going to have to do the same thing that everybody else is, all the other contenders are going to have to do and haven't done yet, and that is take the pennant away from everybody else. No one has shown any real tendency or predilection to do that yet, and as long as everybody's sitting around waiting for it, it might as well be us as well as anybody else.
To illustrate Smalley's comments, the Twins recently played the Yankees with a record not as good as New York, but the Yankees' role was spoiler, trailing Baltimore by 14 games, while Minnesota's was contender, trailing California by only 3.5. Youngsters like Ken Landreau are keeping Minnesota close. One of 5 Twins hitting around .300, Landreau's the only regular in Gene Mauch's outfield platoon.
I appreciate him playing me every day and giving me the opportunity, because I felt I should have had the opportunity in California where I didn't.
After 20 years of managing, Gene Mauch is still seeking his first pennant, but this just might be the year. Watch rookie John Castino's determination on this play. A suicide squeeze on an almost impossible pitch. How about that?
It doesn't matter what people think or say. It doesn't matter what I think or say. It's what the players on the Twins baseball team think. And they think they can play baseball, and they think that they can handle the Western Division, and that's all that really matters.
Jerry Koosman, boasting 16 victories and a good pickoff, teams with Dave Goltz and Jeff Zahn to form an experienced trio of starters. And don't forget about Iron Mike.
Having Mike Marshall with us for the entire year has been a great benefit, not just to the starting pitchers, but to the regular players, because it's given us a winning attitude that we know that when we go into the 7th inning with the lead, that there's a very good chance that we're going to have that at the end of the ball game.
Now, the chances are also improving that the Twins will have that lead at the end of the season. And hoping to claim that, Minnesota Twins refuse to fall out of contention despite the headache of having to play 8 straight games against the Eastern Division leading Baltimore Orioles, a headache for which no team has yet found a cure. Behind the booming bat of Eddie Murray, who pounded Minnesota pitching at a .400 clip, and in one game slammed 3 homers and drove in 7 runs, the Orioles took 5 out of 8. But considering how hot Baltimore's been, that wasn't so bad for Minnesota. At least the Twins kept the rampaging birds in the ballpark. Mike Marshall registered saves in all 3 Minnesota victories, numbers 27, 28, and 29. And after 20 straight games with the Orioles, Red Sox, and Yankees, the Twins only lost a half game in the standings. Still close enough to the top for a Cinderella finish. Seattle might have swept. This 11th inning game-winning homer was not only Brett's 4th hit, but his 200th of the year and 100th RBI. He later became only the 5th player ever to join the 20-20-20 club. 21 homers, 20 triples, 41 doubles. Now that's 82 extra base hits, but not enough to shake the Minnesota Twins, who, much like an uninvited couple in an old-time dance marathon, stubbornly refused to fall out of the competition. As long as a team like the Royals fails to take matters into its own hands, a team like the Twins has a chance to make a surprising last-second grab at the pennant.
We're just going to have to use the skills that we've acquired and progression that we've made in playing winning baseball, and just continue to do that and be aggressive and take our game to people and just get all the runs that we can and just play every game like it's our last one.
The Twins had been given up for dead when they fell 6.5 off the pace, but after splitting 4 games in Kansas City and taking 3 out of 4 in Texas, they closed the gap to 4. A team that was supposed to be down and out, but getting up on its feet and very much alive.
Don't count us out because I think we have a great deal of athletes here. We have some fine ball players. Although we're young, I think we're still capable of hanging in there with the rest of them.
Despite Gene Mauch's reputation as a brilliant managerial strategist, he's never won a pennant. Now in his 20th big league season, Mauch's team has stayed close, scrapping for runs any way it can. And when youngsters like Danny Goodwin provide an occasional long ball, the manager can't complain. And as long as Mike Marshall can add to his 30 saves, Gene Mauch and the Twins can keep those hopes alive. Even if they don't win it, who would have thought they'd even be in it?